colleagues. First of all, can I just say what a proud moment this is for me. Everyone, there's people on this panel who were on the program last year. There's people on this panel who were on the program 5 years ago, our first ever program. So to see you all assembled in this way makes me so proud. So I'm having a proud papa moment. Thank you so much for giving up your time to join our amazing new cohort to share your journey. So one more time, round of applause. All right. Miss Shakur didn't give me a chair, so I'll be standing. I think it works. Okay. Now, can we start, please, by hearing your name? So please introduce yourself. Please tell us whether you're at university or whether you're doing an apprenticeship, which uni you're at, and what course you're doing. So, Becca, starting with you, and you're just going to pass that mic down.
Hi, everyone. I'm Becca. I was a kid from 22 to 23 cohort, and I'm at the University of Nottingham studying English with creative writing.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Hanin. I was here for 2022 2023. I was in the West branch, and I'm doing maths at the university.
Guys, can you hear in the back? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear. Okay, it's working. Okay, Demi, not so good. Okay, Demi, can you kind of turn it up, please? Okay, go on.
My name is Sarah. And I was on the Fishes program 2021, 2022, same as Becca. And I'm currently in my second year studying history at the University of Cambridge. Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Miles. I was actually on the first cohort, so 2019, 2020. I studied sociology with Quantitative Methods at City University of London, and I've just graduated with first class honours. Yeah.
First class honours. Round of applause for that. Woo! Come on. First class honour. That's where we want you in 4 years on this stage talking about either first class honours or your completion of your degree apprenticeship. So that to look forward to. Sir.
Hi, I'm Yusuf. I was on the cohort from 2021 to 22, and I study medicine at Bartholomew, London.
Thank you, Yusuf. And you managed to get into the impossible medicine. Well done. Amazing. Raise your hand if you're interested in medicine.
Hi, guys.
Nice. Okay, next is?
I'm Sania. I'm a degree apprentice at L'Oreal. I'm doing HR and CPD.
Wow, and I hope you brought some samples for Mr. Khan. Not that I need it. And Sania, I'm so glad you're here because we are seeing a rapid increase in the number of degree apprenticeships across all sectors. So your view and viewpoint is going to be so valuable. And guys, just to say at this point, we're doing 3 of these panels. So this is the East Alumni panel. We did the South Alumni panel last week. And thank you, Hanin and Sarah, for being on that as well. And we did the West Alumni panel a couple of weeks ago. So the reason I'm saying this is what we're doing is we want you to have access to all the panel, because on some of the other panels, we had more apprentices, for instance. So we had an apprentice from UI, we had an apprentice from BMW. We've had students doing different degrees at different universities, and we want you to be able to hear all their stories. So this is being recorded as a podcast, but more importantly, the other sessions have been recorded as podcasts, and we're going to be launching those next week. So when you get your weekly online session, you will from now on always get a podcast link. So you can access, should you choose, and those are optional, you don't have to, it's up to you. But a lot of students were saying, actually, I don't want to miss out on what's happening on the other hubs. So we thought, actually, that's a good idea. So we've launched a podcast. So if you want to, you'll be able to experience all the other hubs as well, including hearing all the other alumni and them sharing their journeys. Okay, so that will come out on Google Classroom next week. And Mr. Kirkpatrick has been working really hard to set that up so you would have that opportunity. The first time we've done a podcast, and it went live on Spotify today. So round of applause for Mr. Kirkpatrick. All right. Okay, we're going to hear from our amazing alumni in a moment. Before we do, we're just going to hear Becca's story, because Becca, since she's been on the program, has written not one book, but 2 books. Not one book, but 2 books. Round of applause for 2 books. And we are going to be giving out 10 of those books tonight. And Becca's very kindly signed those books as well. So when we go to Q&A, the first 10 people that ask questions will be getting free copies of Becca's book. And the books are amazing books about spoken word poetry. And that journey for Becca started a couple years ago on a Future Leaders stage. So Becca, before we dive deep, can we just hear a little bit more about that journey?
Of course. So obviously I was here a few years ago and I wasn't somebody who typically went on stage or did much spoken word. I've loved reading, I've loved poetry a lot and I love the arts, but I never really had the confidence. And obviously, as you guys know, starting out every week, you sort of hear Mr. Khan tell you to keep pushing yourself, be motivated, ask questions, seize opportunities, and you really drill it in a very good way. And I think it was the last one, the last session. And there was an amazing spoken word poet, Jaspreet Kaur. She's brilliant. And she came on stage and she performed her poem. And she was talking about her book. And all I could hear was Mr. Khan say, seize opportunities, seize opportunities. And out of nowhere, I put my hand up and I asked the question. And then I went, can I show you one of my poems? And she said, yeah, come on stage and perform it. So I did. And it sparked me making my social media account. It sparked me writing my first book called Healing. And ultimately, it planted the seed for a really, really brilliant career in spoken word, in creative writing. It's led me to, as you know, publish 2 books, but also I've toured around the country as a supporting act for a poet who has 1 million followers. I've sold my books there. So it's been a really lovely journey. And at my root is Future Leaders. So please listen when Mr. Khan inspires you to seize opportunity because you never know what could come of it.
Wow, what a journey. And in a moment, Becca is going to perform one of her spoken word poems for you. And then we're going to, after the session, Becca's going to perform another of her spoken word poems. But what an incredible example of what is waiting for you if you're willing to just grab it, right? We were at the end of the program. It was the last session. There was 250 kids in the room, just like right now. It's 300 right now. And Becca just raised her hand and said, I also do spoken word poetry. And I had a guest who's like a celebrity on stage. And she said to Becca, why don't you come and perform? And Becca took up that opportunity. And from that journey, she's now published author 2 books in 2 years?
Yeah, in 8 years.
Wow. 2 books in 1 year. I love your socials. Your TikTok is amazing. So please do follow Becca. We're going to give out her social after her performance. And what an incredible journey you've been on. And I think, Becca, what makes me most proud is the messaging in your spoken word poetry, right? It's about finding your voice. It's about being strong. It's about being who you are. All the things that we talk about at Future Leaders. And, you know, this is a great example of finding your own success, right? You don't have to be a lawyer or doctor or banker to be successful. Although, I mean, you're at an amazing university doing English, which you love. But what I want to say is there's different ways to be you and be authentic and make a positive contribution, right? There's nothing wrong with medicine. We love medicine, Yusuf. But also, there's nothing wrong with following your passion and just really leaning into that and making the world a better place through that. You know, Yusuf wants to be a surgeon. He's going to make the world a better place through that. Miles wants to work for a charity. He's going to make the world a better place through that. Sania's going to give me pre-samples of L'Oreal. She's going to make a better place through that. But now we're going to hear the empowering messages from Becca and how she's making this world a better place through that. So, Becca, over to you.
Thank you. So I'm gonna stand up. So there's 2 sort of housekeeping rules I like to do before I start. The first is a trigger warning. This is a poem about sexual assault. It's a poem about objectifying women. So just a trigger warning if anyone needs to leave or anything like that. The second housewarming rule is in poetry, we do this thing where if we like what somebody says or we resonate or we feel like it's powerful, we click our fingers. Okay? So can we try and click our fingers before we start, please? Beautiful. Beautiful. So you've probably seen it in some movies and stuff, but it's a real thing we do. And it's a nice way to sort of communicate with each other. I'll wait. You ready?
Someone's swipe twice. The other one's a bit lower. Thank you very much.
Is this after? Okay, so it's a nice way to communicate, sort of unspokenly when I'm on stage. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it. This is called Objectify Me. The station is an understatement for the feelings I've been forced to feel, conceal, and learn to heal from. I am lost, but I am found because all of these women seek up and sometimes I make sound. but it doesn't feel enough. Words say to dust, and I end up on a train with a phone directed at my skirt, to my waist, to my face. Where are you putting that trace of me? Who are you showing? I am not yours to be knowing. I didn't say a word. Why did I not say a word? The question remains, why should I even need to be heard when a topic itself should not exist to begin with? Yet now I live holding keys, saying, please, who are we to be told to avoid night, stay beneath light, run from he? Whoever he will be, because I know I will meet you again. Same book, same factor, different story, same actor. I am exhausted. Let me breathe without me wondering if I have aroused you, housed you in my home of unconscious desire. If I tire, you will call me a liar, saying I tempted you with my seductive attire. My cleavage is crying out, my skirts include shouts, objectifying me, objectifying me, objectifying me. But why do they always objectify me? Is it because they know that when I tried to go, they'll silence my no, telling me they know I want this? Because how could I not? There's something so sexy about a woman saying stop. Thank you.
Wow. One more time, Matt, they're going to blow Rebecca Lloyd. And Nan, give the way, Nan. My favorite, there's so many things I love about seeing Becca, but one of my favorite things about seeing Becca is I get to see her. Nan, give us a wave, Nan.
Hi, Nan.
Everyone, wave at Nan, Bill.
Wave at Nan and wave at the boyfriend in the back. Say hi.
Wave to the boyfriend at the back of Bill. Excellent. And what amazing. Thank you so much. Such powerful word. Sir, is this allowed as his mic can go? Okay. Such powerful words from Becca. You heard the message of empowerment. For Becca, it's about empowering young women. It's about being clear about what is your empowering message. That's what we want to help you discover over the mix. Okay. Thank you. It's all right. You guys keep this. Okay. Haneen, over to you. So please
Tell us, where are you based?
I'm at City University studying maths. It's been a journey, I won't lie, especially because I wasn't always the biggest fan of maths. During primary, I did enjoy maths by a lot. I come to secondary school, I didn't have the best teachers, and it sort of brought down my enjoyment of maths. I didn't care, I didn't try. I started going down. I was in first step. I don't even know why I was in the first step. I'll get like 30%. And then come year 10, I had a teacher, and he really showed that he cared about us, and he cared about making sure that we succeed. And it was so funny because he wasn't a usual teacher. He wasn't like, oh guys, someone got this. He would cuss us out. We would do something dumb. He would hit us with paper, but not hard. And it was mainly the boys, but it was so funny. He would just go into like cussing debates, stuff back and forth. If someone tried him, he would try them too. It was so funny, and everyone wanted to be in our class. And he was also the first teacher that we had who actually stayed in year 10, because he had like 3 different teachers, and one of them was our teacher for like 2 months. I saw her face me twice. It was so we finally had a teacher, and he made sure that we got our work and we were top of our year and everything. It started to make me like maths again. It showed me that it wasn't just some STEM subject that I shouldn't care about and it's not going to be part of my future. And I said, okay, fine. So I'm going to leave it. It's easier because it's maths. I can also do maths in the future. And then come A-levels, from young, I always thought I was going to do law. That was my journey. Especially from someone from Northwest, and I grew up in the States. I saw a lot of injustices and whatnot, and a lot of loopholes in law, and the way that police and whatnot can take advantage of it. And then coming year 11, I was able to start doing things around that. And mainly because Mr. Khan told me to take every opportunity you can get. And I feel this during my exams, and I was like, it's a bit busy right now, but I wanna do something about it. I'm not just a little kid with no voice. So I applied, they took me in, and they saw that I was a student doing my GCSEs, like, we'll wait for you to finish up and then we'll start getting tired. And from there, I've been jumping from different organizations, basically becoming a consultant. But when I realized that I could do things without a degree from this sort of standpoint, and I can still do what I wanted to do, I said, I think this is what my future is going to look like now. So I do A-levels, and during A-levels, I still felt I was going to do law. So I did history, politics, and maths. Let's just say, do essay subject in a STEM subject is really hard, guys. It's really hard. Especially when he doesn't like essays. So I did that. I didn't get the grades that I wanted. But during UCAS, I looked at my UCAS before I looked at my go for SOARs. And I had applied for max. That journey, that's another conversation. But I saw that I didn't get into my first university. I hadn't seen my grade yet because Global School wasn't working for those who have got school. But then I go to UCAS, I check it. My first didn't take me. For my second gave me an unconditional offer, and I was like, I am in such a lucky position because so many people that I knew had to go through clearing. So I was like, alhamdulillah, I was able to do what I wanted. I got in, and I'm in my first semester. I don't know, do you want to go through with the degree?
That's good, and I'll come back to you. Honey, round of applause for that journey. Well, there's so much I love about that, right? Law. She was on the law trajectory. Raise your hand if you're interested in doing law. But then she changed, and now she's loving it. And when I come back to you, honey,
Here, girls and nuts. I hear about girls and nuts. Raise your hand if you're interested in studying a math.
disagree. Okay, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about that. But the lesson there is about staying open to possibilities. Just because you've wanted to be X since you were 11 years old doesn't mean you have to see that through, right? If something else now feels right, go on that journey. So Sarah, over to you. Sarah, the question for you is really about one of resilience. You've been on quite a journey since your GCSEs, A-levels for lots of reasons. I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about the challenges you face and how you remain positive and resilient to help us empower these amazing young people.
Okay. Whenever people ask to tell my story, I always find it hard to know where to really start. Where do you really go from? But so just to remind you guys, I study history. I'm in my second year at the University of Cambridge. So growing up, throughout primary school, my family was homeless. We were homeless for most of my childhood. We lived in we weren't homeless, we lived in council houses. We didn't really have any sort of stable living conditions until I was 11, 12 years old. I felt my story is quite similar to yours in the sense that I was on that medicine trajectory. From when I was 11, I was I want to be a doctor. I want to be a doctor. When I got to age 15, I started struggling with mental health. And it got to a point where for most days I couldn't really go to school. I spent sort of ages just at home. Sometimes I couldn't even leave my own room for days on end. And I think coming on to near the end of year 11, my plan was just I'm gonna drop out. I wanted to be a social worker. And that's still something that I really want to do. And now my sort of aspiration is now to work in social policy. So that was my plan. But then one of my teachers was no, you should at least get A-levels. You should at least get some post-18 qualifications. And I was saying to myself, okay, I may as well do that. Cause I was really behind my GCSEs, but I managed to pull it back and I got quite good GCSE grades. So that's it, year 11's over. I start year 12 and at the start of year 12, I suddenly lost my hearing. So it was basically an overnight thing. So I woke up, I couldn't hear, I thought I had an ear infection. And it turned out after a bunch of doctor's appointments, it turned out that I completely lost my hearing, on one side of my head, this ear, completely lost. This ear was mostly fine, but there was some damage to it. And to this day, I sort of, doctors are still confused. One of your ears just took quit about 70 years early. So that was something else that just a massive hit to my confidence. So I was already I did biology, chemistry, maths at A-level, and I also did history because she was something that I was really interested in. And I was I just don't really know what someone would do with myself. But at this point, it was just struggle after struggle after struggle. And And then sort of like around like middle of year 12, so then I started Future Leaders. And like we had like a lot of people come to speak to us. So like doctors, sort of lawyers, people in all sorts of different career fields. And like slowly I started to realize that medicine, like it wasn't like really the career for me. Like it was like, it's still something like I find like the actual biology really interesting, but I just saw like the career, the degree itself, it wasn't something that really like took my interest. Like my interest was really with history. And so that's like how like my sort of thinking, like I was on like one track toward medicine. I switched over to history. And then so like I applied, to Cambridge. I applied to a bunch of other universities as well. I think it was, LSE, UCL, King's, and Exeter. And that was my universities that I applied to. And my offer for Cambridge was an A-star in history. So I did the application and everything. I got an offer. My offer was an A-star in history and 4 A's. So exam season rolls along and I got really unwell over exam season. So I was in the hospital, like in our hospital throughout exam season. Like it wasn't great. It was not the vibe. So I ended up with 4 B's in my A levels, including a B in the subject that I was meant to be studying. Like I got a B in history. And so like I opened my result paper and I was like, alas, I'm so done. I'm not going to Cambridge. I didn't even check UCAS. I was like, that's it, done. And then my head of year was like, why don't you just like check UCAS? Like you've not checked UCAS yet. And I checked it, but like they hadn't accepted me, they hadn't rejected me. And I got a phone call the next day, where they were like, you are one of our highest, interview and admissions assessment, like scorers. And so we would still like to take you for the degree if you are happy to take the offer. And I was like, am I happy to take the offer? Am I happy to take the offer? But that's a part of our comedy. And so yeah, so I've finished my first year. I got a first in my first year. And now like I've started my second. And yeah, that's the journey so far.
What the back journey? So read around that you are possibly aspiring to Oxbridge, Cambridge. Lovely, good. And Sarah, so when we come back to you, I'd love to hear more about what makes Oxford and Cambridge, the teaching style of Oxford and Cambridge different as other universities, because I think it's so important for young people to understand because sometimes you think Oxbridge, that's where I want to go, but actually it's not about the name, it's about how you learn, right? We're so lucky in this country to have some incredible universities, something like 5 tech universities in the world are in this country. So we're really gifted. So it's really about your learning style. And we're going to hear about the learning style at Cambridge from Sarah when we come back around. Miles, so you are in the unique position that you've been on the journey, right? Everywhere else on the panel is either in education or training. You completed the journey. So tell us about your thoughts on university. So first year uni, second year uni, third year uni. What are some top tips on getting through uni successfully and finishing with a first like you have?
So it's been, I think 5 years I've been with Teacher Leaders, which feels like a really long time. This was just before COVID hit. So obviously very, very different time to what obviously happened. So I went to City University of London, studying sociology with quantitative methods. If I'm being honest, City wasn't my first choice, especially, around COVID times. It was really, really hard just around applying and where people wanted to go, and there was a lot of competition. So unfortunately I didn't go to my first choice, but I did choose City just because one, I saw that I could make a community there, and also it was close to home, and I was planning to stay in London. What did you want to know? So just around what was it?
Yeah, so having completed the university journey, what advice would people thinking about going to university around being successful on that process? What are your biggest learnings that you talked about on who we tried?
Yeah.
What are some other top level? And I'm conscious.
Just this question. There was not on the list I could share with you, but I think we're so lucky to have somebody who's been on the journey. So what are your
learnings having completed the process?
I think when you're at school, when you're at sixth form, wherever, someone's going to tell you what to do. When you get to university, no one's going to tell you what to do. No one's going to care if you don't turn up to class. So you have to have self-motivation. You have to put in the effort yourself. No one is going to tell you, oh, this is due now. If it's not due, then it's not, you're going to do it, then you can't, it's not the grade. So you really have to be self-motivated. I found that a lot of the time I had a lot of friends who didn't want to do stuff, and I was like to them, but why? Because we're all here to try and prove something. We're trying to do better than what our parents done. My parents didn't attend university. I'm the first generation in my family to attend university. And so I saw that as I've got to pick myself up, and I've got to get through this. So it meant late nights in the library. It meant studying with friends and being around people that had a similar mindset to you of wanting to be there, wanting to do well. And I think it's always about being engaged. Mr. Khan always talked about like being engaged and always going for the opportunities. So I would always try and find something more. It's great to have a degree. I think we're so lucky to be able to do this. And like I said, my parents didn't go to university. I'm guessing a lot of people here, their parents didn't go to university. And so I think it's great you have a degree, but you've got to do more. There's so much more you can do. You could be engaged with so much. So I was a program representative for my degree program. I made sure to make relationships with my professors and my teachers, and to really have a good relationship there to get to the career opportunities. Again, I wasn't good at maths, so then I chose quantitative methods, looking at data specifically because the job market need people like that, and to use sociological understanding, but also having that data side of it. And so from that, I just pushed myself into a challenge. And I think you're going to always have to push yourself if you're going to get through this, because it's hard times now. And I'm going to be real with you. It's not an easy period of time to be a young person. And so you really have to take the opportunities. So I taken a placement in the Department of Transport. I did that for 10 weeks during my second year. I worked in a higher education research company that worked with the Office of Student and works with the government. And so I've had to take all these opportunities. And sometimes you can be scared. So there's been many times where I've been nervous to try and go for these, to think, oh, how can I march from East London? How can I go and do this? No one in my family's really done anything like this. You kind of just have to do it, and you're going to be scared a lot of the time, but you got to let that fear push you, because at the end of the day, no one else is going to do it for you. There's no one else that's going to tell you, oh, you got to get up this morning. You have to do it yourself, because at the end of the day, it's your life, and you need to get on with it, and you need to do the best you can.
Wow. Round of applause for that. Woo. So, Tomas, you said you were first in your family. And first of all, raise your hand, Tano, if you're from East London. See, it can happen here. It does happen here, right? All of these amazing panelists doing amazing things grew up where you're growing up. And raise your hand if you're first in your family to go to university or training. And raise your hand, boys and girls, if you will be the first in your family to go to university or training. That includes degree, apprenticeship, university, etc. Lovely. Okay, Miles, talk to me about this. When students are picking their university course or degree apprenticeship, sometimes they're struggling between, if I do this, I'm going to make lots of money, but actually I really love this, right? So Sarah, for instance, could have done medicine, right? Consultant doctors make a lot of money. History, you're going to make a lot of money, I'm sure, but that path is less clear, right? Sometimes students don't realize that, I want to make the money, so I'm going to do this thing. They enroll onto that course, and then they realize 3 years is a long time to be doing something you don't love, right? So what advice would you have for young people, having completed the university journey? What advice would you have for young people around picking the right course, around picking what you love as opposed to what you think is going to make it successful?
Yeah. Similarly, I wanted to do law as well when I was in sixth form. So from the Future Leaders, a lot of us actually got a placement with Freshfield, which is one of the Magic Circle firms. And so we did that again. That was during COVID. So that was online. And I was really set on being a lawyer. I was like, oh, I'd seen Suits. I want to be like them. I want to do all of that. Most people have said that, and they want to be like people in Suits. But I sort of came to the decision, especially during COVID. I've made a lot of decisions around what I wanted to do. And yeah, it was, I think you have to make this decision on whether it's money your main motivator. And if people want to use that as their own, that's completely up to them. And that's completely fine. But I sort of made the decision of, it would be great to have all that money, but am I going to enjoy it long term? Is it something that I see myself throwing in? And like this, the concept, it is 3 years is short, but it's long time. And I think you've got to make the decision of, do you want to power through the 3 years and get through to the other side and potentially get that, for example, training contract at a firm? or you're going to do something you're passionate about. Because at the end of the day, I chose sociology because I was passionate about it. I liked thinking about what society was, what's happening, and I wanted to have an impact, and I wanted to make change through social policy and working to create a difference. For example, like young people like you, I specifically work like the education space, and I want to make education fairer for disadvantaged students from East London and backgrounds like ours. And so I think, again, it's just finding what motivates you, because I feel like at the end of the day, that's going to push you. And like what I said before, that's what's going to get you out of bed in the morning, and it's going to get you to university, it's going to get you to that apprenticeship, it's going to get you to that job, because no one's going to do it for you. No one is going to tell you. It's nice that we have this environment now where Mr. Khan is pushing one, but eventually you're going to have to do it yourself, and you're going to have to get yourself up and do it. So for me, I think the main thing is find what motivates you. What are you interested in? And understand that now. So you're in a really, really good state to do that and have these connections and do that. And so finding out what motivates you is good, but also finding out about the career paths that from that. So when I was interested in sociology, I found out, I could be a civil servant. Again, we explored that on the Future Leaders program, or I could work with charities in the connection. And again, all of that came from the Future Leaders program, and making these connections, I was able to do that. So again, my main thing is we'll find what motivates you and go from there, see what careers are out there, because again, no one's going to do it for you.
Wow. Another round of applause to that. Thank you so much, Miles. And it's lovely it makes me so proud to hear how your experience on Future Leaders for all of you has informed that journey, because that's what this program's about. And when you're sat there and you're 16, you can't see it, right? You're in it, you're thinking, do I want to do the online thing this week? Can I be bothered? It's raining. Do I want to travel all the way to Redbridge Town Hall? Can I be bothered? I haven't really, met the right people, this, that, and the other. But if you stick with it, it's great to see another full house a month on from our launch. If you stick with it, this is what's on the other side of it, right? You may not realize the things we're asking you to do, how they're impacting you, but it all feeds in to this level of success. Yusuf, you did the impossible. You got into medical school, which is, by far the hardest degree course to get into at university. Why do you want to be a doctor? And what are some top tips you have for others that are considering either a medicine degree or other highly competitive degrees?
Well, first, I just have to start by saying I apologize. There's no real drama in my journey process, no spontaneous hearing loss or wild drastic career changes.
That's how, we want to go stop there.
But my journey was pretty standard for a medic. In year 12, I studied chemistry, biology, and psychology. I sat an EPQ, and then in the summer of year 12, I sat my UCAT. I had interviews rolling on in year 13. And yeah, I sat my A-levels, I got my result, and I got into medical school. It is a privilege to study medicine. It is difficult to get into, but it's an honor and it's a privilege, because medicine is the most noble profession there is. There's no other profession where people can go to you and actually say their lives are in your hands. So it's a privilege, but it's also a responsibility. So that means that sort of pushes me on to tell you guys a couple of top tips. You're pretty early on now. You're in year 12. But what you need to do now is look at your intentions. You don't want to study medicine for the money. You don't want to study medicine because your parents are telling you to. You want to be passionate about medicine because it's a lifelong journey. You're doing it for the rest of your life. You're learning every single day on the wards, in the GP office, wherever it is. You're always learning. It's not just that you graduate and you're done as learning. No, you have to keep up to date with everything. So that's my first sort of top tip I have for you guys. Look at your intention. Make sure it's organic. The second, I'd say, again, you're really early on, but maybe start having a look at the UCAT and sort of medical schools around the country, see what you want to apply for. I think registration opens for you guys in March, but by far UCAT is the most important part of your applications. It's what medical schools use to determine if they want to give you an interview or not. You guys are actually quite lucky now that you don't have to do the BMAT, because the year 12 summer and start of year 13 was the hardest period of my life. Sitting the UCAT and the BMAT, so count yourself lucky. But yeah, maybe start thinking about UCAT now. But for now, just look at your intentions and make sure they're organic in medicine.
And Yusuf, what is the UCAT? And it's not just the UCAT, right? So if you're applying for certain degrees at university, you have to write additional tests. So it's not just your A-level result. You have to write additional tests to get into these courses. And if you're applying to Oxford and Cambridge, they have their own tests that you have to do on top of your A-levels, right? So UCAT, what does it stand for? What kind of questions are on a UCAT?
The UCAT is probably the toughest test you're taking in life. I say that sitting my second year medical school, the UCAT by far is the hardest test I've done. It stands for the University Clinical Aptitude Test, and it doesn't test your intelligence. It tests your aptitude. It tests how you think, sort of what you think about. It doesn't test your knowledge. So the first section is VR, verbal reasoning. I think there's like a crazy timer. You have like maybe 15, 20 sections to read in half an hour, and you have to answer questions on that. The second is decision making. Again, that tests like how you think. It's similar to an IQ test. The third is QR, so that tests your mathematical ability. And the fourth is abstract reasoning, which by far, in my opinion, was the hardest section. So you sit it usually in the year 12 summer, so the summer that you guys are going into now. You get your result on the day, and then you use that to apply to the medical schools that you want to go to. Now, medical schools use that to determine if they want to interview you or not. So by far, UCAT, like I said before, is the most important part of the application process.
Wow, amazing. And as we said, so even if you're going to business school, some business schools require an extra test. Medicine, some law schools as well, you have to write the LSAT. Any others I'm forgetting? Medicine, what is all that? And Yusuf said you're lovely. And Yusuf said you're far out. You're not that far out. You're not that far out. If you're thinking medicine, architecture, veterinary science, or anything at Oxbridge, you are less than a year from early entry deadline. Less than a year. And that year is going to fly by. So think about how you're building up that portfolio. What podcasts are you listening to? What lectures are you attending? What books are you reading? Because all of this is going to need to go into your personal statement or apprenticeship interview, depending on where you're headed. A year is not a long time. In 2 years' time, you'll already be at your next step, whether that's a leading company or a leading university. Yusuf, thank you so much. That's so helpful. So when we come back to you, I'd love to hear more from you around staying strong through what is no doubt a highly draining, demanding is the word I'm looking for, highly demanding course of study. Because, some of them will be facing theirs depending on which route they go into. Thank you. Okay, Sania, welcome. You are our only degree apprenticeship on here, which is amazing. As I said, more and more young people are choosing to do degree apprenticeships based on what they want to do. I read a statistic the other day that it's more difficult to secure a degree apprenticeship than it is a Russell Group University place. Can you tell us a little bit about what a degree apprenticeship is and why you chose to do one over university? And also, if you don't mind sharing what you did at A-level, perhaps the grades you got, whether you applied to uni, the unis you got. Because I think some kids, and particularly parents, still think that apprenticeships are for people that didn't get into university. But the truth is so far from that, right? It's actually more difficult to get a degree apprenticeship, particularly, I'm not talking any apprenticeship, but a degree apprenticeship over a university place. So take us on that journey, Sania.
Firstly, you're absolutely right. I got rejected by 25 companies before L'Oreal accepted me. That is how hard it is to get a degree apprenticeship. So to start off, in A-levels, I did psychology, biology, and geography. The grades I got were AAB, so wasn't too bad, but also wasn't my predicted grades. I did apply to uni as backup, and I got into all the unis that I wanted. So it was always in the back of my mind that if I didn't get an apprenticeship, then I would go for uni. But luckily, at the very last minute, L'Oreal accepted me. I feel like in year 11...
Sania, I was going to ask you to hold the mic a bit closer.
In year 11, I kind of realised that I wanted to do an apprenticeship. In school, I had really supportive head of years, and things were not great at home. And I think we collectively realised that I needed a bit more freedom and independence. So I knew that the apprenticeship route was for me. And I don't like being in lessons. I think just like sitting there and listening was not working for me. So I knew that I had to learn in a more hands-on way. So that's how I found the apprenticeship route. And luckily, my parents were very supportive. They thought apprenticeships were a brilliant thing to do because I'm also going to uni, but I'm working with a really big company. So there are different types of apprenticeships. The apprenticeships I'm doing is a level 6. So that means I'm going to get a degree and L'Oreal will pay for my degree by the end of 3 years. And I would be a chartered manager by the end of it. But there are normal apprenticeships. There are level 4s, which is basically equivalent to an A level. But I always knew that I would wanted to do a degree apprenticeship because I really wanted to come out of it with the same qualifications that I would get if I did go to uni. I applied to 35 companies. I think I got ghosted by 10 of them. They just never got back to me. Fair enough. And then I got rejected from 25 places. So places like Amazon, TFL, which is like ridiculous because they're taking my money every single day. Traveling to White City every single day, like it's insane. It's ridiculous. And they're the ones who rejected me, which is crazy. But I'm in HR. So when I did apply to uni, I applied for psychology in, I think, 2 unis. And for the rest of them, I was applying for international geography. So I knew that I was a very people's kind of person. And in my friend group, I was the therapist friend. So like it made sense for me to go into HR because I'm dealing with everyone's problems now. But I love being an apprentice. I can officially say I'm a corporate baddie now. Like everyone wanted to say that. I can officially say I'm a corporate baddie. But yeah.
And so, round of applause for that journey. You know, it takes confidence to do what you know is right for you, even though people around you, all your friends, some of your friends might be applying to uni. You know, you might be the minority applying for uni, but to find the confidence to do what you knew was right for you is magic, right? Because now you're loving it, you're making the money, you're having a good time, and you know it was the right thing for you, right? And I think over the next 10 years, we will see more young people applying for apprenticeships than we do university. So I think that trend is going to change. But I think you're one of those early adopters, right? That you saw the value because, let's be clear. What does it mean to do an apprenticeship? They pay for your degree. You're saving 10 grand a year. They pay you, and that can be around 20K a year, right? And when you finish, you've got a degree, you've got the professional qualification, and you've got 3 years work experience. 400,000 young people graduate from university in this country every year. 400,000. Guess how many graduate jobs there are available every year? Shout it out. 200, 500, 700, 200,000 jobs. That means half of the people, obviously not you guys, yeah, lots of love. I got you. But that means half of the people that graduate from university are either unemployed or working below their level of qualification. Yeah. And Mr. Kirkpatrick has friends who's just graduated. And where are they working, sir? They're not working. And the ones that are working, wasn't there like a Starbucks or McDonald's story? No, didn't even get the job at McDonald's. So many companies, when you go to work for them, say we want the work experience, right? But if they're not giving you an opportunity, how are you going to get the work experience, right? So if you're going to uni, make sure it is a top uni and make sure that it is a course that is highly in demand.
Can I just ask something? Yeah. So because I've graduated and stuff, I'm in the current graduate market as well. And I think it is important, like Miss Khan is saying, is to evaluate what you want to do, because I see loads of my friends have gone to Rotherham universities, Oxford, Cambridge, etc., blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I think potentially think about the apprenticeship route, because I know people who have taken it and it's actually been really good for them. Again, I personally loved studying and stuff. I loved being in lessons and learning more and stuff. But again, that's not everyone. And I think it's important to evaluate whether an apprenticeship is good for you, because again, it's one thing that a lot of people have is they have a degree, but they don't have the experience. And look, the experience is there. She's getting the experience while she's also learning. And I think it's important that, I think it's great that everyone's getting a degree, but you need to have that work experience. You need to get those internships. You need to go out there and, for example, like on LinkedIn, like, meet people, network with people to get this experience, because everyone has a degree, but no one has the work experience. And as I'm in the graduate workforce, I'm trying to actually look for a job right now. That's what a lot of people are saying. They're saying, oh, we need this amount of work experience. Oh, we need this. And like, universities offer placement years. Well, if you do want to go down the university route, do a placement year. I tried to do one. It is hard to find, but you can be lucky to get them. So I think, again, evaluate what you want to do, evaluate your motivation, and evaluate sort of what you want to do. But again, an apprenticeship might be perfect for you.
And Miles, you are now a graduate of university. I know you're looking for jobs. What's it like out there? What's the landscape? When you graduate from uni, you start looking for jobs. How tough is it?
I'm not going to lie to you, it's really tough. Like, doesn't matter. Like, I have a first class degree. I have a lot of work experience compared to a lot of people. I worked in government and I did the internship in the summer. I was top of my class. I was the student seeker at my graduation. I have all this work experience. I have all these connections. I've volunteered, and it's still really tough. So I feel like you guys need to be on top of it now. And because this is the perfect time for you to make a decision. You're at a point in your life where you can be flexible and fluid, because yes, you can be fluid after you have your degree, but now is the perfect time to be like, if I want to change something, then I can. Like I said, I want to do law, but I changed. So it's perfect now. And it's hard, because then it's debilitating not to get the job you want. Or I'd had some interviews recently, and they said, you are qualified, that this person has a PhD. And a degree, unfortunately, might not be enough anymore. You need that work experience. You need that something extra. And it's hard. I have friends who have graduated from Russell universities and they're struggling. They are working in Starbucks. They are working in Costa. They are doing all this other stuff. But yeah, it's the tough environment, especially for young people. Hopefully things can change with policy agenda and potentially apprenticeships, like T-levels. I don't know at the moment, but the landscape isn't the best I would want it to be, but hopefully something can change.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that insight. And, every day I'm contacted by graduates that have gone through our program, that have come out of uni, good unis, good degree, saying, Mr. Khan, like, I'm looking for a job in this industry. Do you have any connections? Can you put me in touch? It breaks my heart, because I know how hard those young people have worked to get to where they are. And this is why we're such big supporters of apprenticeships, because you're already in it. You're already employed. You got a job for life, right? If you want it. At the end of your apprenticeship, they give you a full-time job. Plus, you still have the degree. And there is no profession that you cannot do by an apprenticeship. In this country today, you can be a lawyer having done an apprenticeship. You can be a doctor having done an apprenticeship. They will let you cut people open having done an apprenticeship. So we're really seeing a shift from university to apprenticeships, where actually the opportunity is out there. So whatever you want to do, journalism, psychology, etc., go and see if there's an apprenticeship that exists for that thing. Don't think, oh, that's probably not going to have an apprenticeship, because actually things are changing. And Yusuf, are you working with any doctors who are on the apprenticeship scheme, or is that separate?
So I think with regards to medicine, it is still very early on. With regards to the apprenticeship, but yeah, definitely keep an eye on it. It's still very much in the works. I think a couple of medical schools are working with it, but it's not the mainstream for now, but definitely keep an eye on it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'll share this quick story with you. I read a study recently where they tracked someone's career for 7 years at the same company. Okay. And they compared a graduate versus an apprentice. So 7-year journey. So the apprentice joined in year 1. Okay. And then they were with the company for 3 years. They got their degree. The graduate was at uni for 3 years, joined the company in year 4. Okay. Now it's year 4, and both the apprentice and the graduate are in that company. Okay. At the same level. Okay. Fast forward to year 7, and there was a manager position available, a promotion. And they looked at the study across different sectors, different companies, to find out who was being promoted quicker, graduates or apprentices. Raise your hand if you think it was the apprentice. Raise your hand if you think it was the graduate. It was the apprentice. And when they asked the hiring managers why, they said they feel more senior because they've been there longer, right? They know the values, they know the culture, they know the teams. They've done more work with us. They feel like they've been there longer, and so we can trust them more. So even those coming in with flashy degrees, actually, the apprentice route not only gets you in quicker, it helps you progress quicker as well. So it really is something to think about as you start to make some decisions over the next few years. And Sania, I love your story. Apply for everything. Apply for everything. Sania applied for great unis. She had her offers. But if you don't apply for apprenticeships, for instance, and apprenticeships usually open in September of year 13, and they stay open till about Christmas of year 13. So those 4 months. If you don't apply, you're out of the game. All right? You're going to miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Apply for apprenticeships, do your research, apply for uni. On results day, see what your options are. And then make a decision. But keep your options open as long as possible. And certainly the corporate partners that we work with, they give us preferential access, right? So you don't have to apply for 35 companies. Because they're actively wanting to support our young people into apprenticeship. In fact, we had this young lady's sister on the program last year, Celeste, who was on our Leonardo Engineering Apprentice, and then had the opportunity to apply for the apprenticeship with them, right? So make sure you're putting yourself forward for those trips and opportunities, because it leads to jobs. And actually, our contact at Leonardo, the engineering firm, we run a Girls into Engineering program with Leonardo. Our contact at the company is Gena, who was on the program 5 years ago. She's now actually the person who liaises with us on the program. So she's a company representative that helps us build this program. And she went through the program. All right, that's such a proud moment for us. Right? So we want you to go out, do amazing things, and then help the next generation. Jaina is helping other young girls enter engineering. That's amazing. And that's the journey we want you to be on. Whether you're at uni and you come back and share your story, or whether you're doing an apprenticeship. So Sania, tell us a little bit more about the life of a degree apprentice. I think people, schools are very good at promoting uni because we get judged on how Mika's the Center Russell Group. Schools are less good about apprenticeships because they themselves don't understand, right? So what is it actually like being a degree apprentice? So are you at work 4 days and uni 1 day? What does that look like? What uni is it? Who's at that uni? Do you still get to party at uni, etc.?
So, I work 4 days and I go to uni for 1 day, which is every Friday. So at L'Oreal, we have this thing called My Hybrid. You can take 2 days working from home. So essentially I work 3 days in the office, 1 day at home, and Fridays I spend at uni. The uni that they've enrolled me into is the Uni of West London. I had no idea what that was. I never heard the name of the uni, but not complaining because they're paying for it. But essentially I go there and I go to campus twice every month, and then the rest of it's online. And on a day-to-day, I have to be there. So to 9 to 5, typical 9 to 5. I have to trek all the way to White City, which is far for Romford. And honestly, my day is very different every single day. I cannot give you what my day looks like every day because it's constantly changing. I'm constantly learning. I've only been there for 3 months, but it feels like I've been there for a year. I've learned so much so far. Every single day is completely different. I could come in, expect no meetings, and then all of a sudden I have different clients from different client groups wanting to get in touch, wanting to schedule a meeting because they have an issue or we're trying to promote someone, create jobs. So every single day for me is very different. But whereas the other apprentices that have joined me, they're in marketing for companies that on a day-to-day, like Garnier, Armani, Prada. And their days are much more like similar and they've got a routine almost. So can't really give you what your day looks like because for me it's very different. But honestly, I'd met so many people, and I remember Mr. Khan said once that it's not what you know, it's who you know. And honestly, since starting my LinkedIn, I've like, honestly, Mr. Khan promotes LinkedIn. He should be getting paid, but like, I haven't touched LinkedIn since I left Future Leaders. And now that I've like gone in every single day, the people that I don't even know, but I'm sitting next to them, like, cause the hot desk, I sit next to them. I've added them on LinkedIn, like, and we're constantly talking. We're like scheduling in coffee. But, another thing I have to say is when you're doing an apprenticeship, you have so much freedom. Like throughout working, if I'm just feeling like taking a break, I can go upstairs, sit a coffee and just chill for a bit. I can go up, work in the balcony. I can go up, work outside the office at Starbucks or whatnot. Like you have a lot of freedom, a lot of independence, and that can either be a very good thing or it could be a very bad thing. It just depends on if you're a person where you need to be told what to do and when to do it. But, whereas like I don't need to be told what to do, when to do it. I kind of just take initiative. I get my things done relatively easily and like I do it at my own pace. So every single day I come in with a list of things to do and I can get them done really quick and for the rest of the day and just chilling, which is bad. Don't chill. But it's very calm and yeah.
And Sania, when you go to uni, what's that like? Are you just with other L'Oreal people? Are there people from other corporates there? Do you guys still have socials? Can you connect with people, etc.?
So, in my cohort, people that started in September, majority of us are L'Oreal. So there's 14 of us that are L'Oreal. And then there's a group of 10 apprentices from Mars, like the chocolate. And then 4 of them from Heinz, like your baked beans, which is really odd. And then 2 of them from Pfizer. So essentially my year is an apprentice cohort. So in the uni that I go to, it's kind of split into 2, where you have regular students that shine up and they want to go to this uni, and then students that have been brought in from their workplace. So in my class, it's just us 28-ish apprentices. We have a lot of like socials there. I think the Uni of West London really tried to emphasize that, because one of the misconceptions that you might think is that apprentices, they're missing out. They won't have like the nightlife of a normal uni student. You won't be able to go clubbing with your friend, this, that, but they really like try to make sure that you're exposed to that so you're not getting FOMO, which I thought I would, but nothing like that so far.
And I think that's such an important point, because sometimes when we think about apprenticeships, we think I'm going to be the only young person in the office. Everyone's going to be 1,000 years old. But actually, you're still getting an opportunity, like Ms. Shakur. But actually, you're still getting an opportunity to meet lots of other young people at different companies doing different things. You still got that community and you still got that vibe, which I think is really important. Sania, thank you. That's really insightful. When I come back to you, I want to hear about the process of applying for an apprenticeship. So you apply the psychometric testing, the assessment center, the offer, etc., because I think that will be useful. Okay, colleagues, I'm going to come back around, but we're going to do a speed round. So I'm going to give you a question that I highlighted for you. I want you to give me a minute, 90 seconds on it. Okay, and then we'll come back one time around, and then we'll move to question. Becca, tell us a little bit about how does one get a book published? Raise your hand if you're interested in English, journalism, authoring a book down the road, anything like that. Don't be shy, be brave. Maybe down the road. So, yeah, excellent. Okay, good. So how does one go about having a book published?
Okay, so there's a few top tips I can give you. I went the self-publishing route. Bear in mind, you can go the normal publishing route, but that involves getting agents, that involves making portfolios and knowing where to look. But I can't sleep on that because I haven't done it yet. However, I went self-publishing. I have a brilliant friend in the industry. Her name is Isabella Dorser. She's a brilliant poet, and she sort of taught me how to publish through Amazon. It's called KDP. It's very, very simple. You can do it for free technically, or you can buy the rights to your own book. So that's called an IBSN number. And that's about £90 investment. That means that if your book sells loads, Amazon doesn't own it. You own it. However, they do take quite a big cut. But the thing is, it is still worth it because then you are a published author, poet, whatever. And it was pretty straightforward. That part is quite easy. I think it's the advertising and making your making your voice heard, which tends to be a little bit more challenging. But for me, that was done through social media, performances. So bear in mind that writing a book, that's it, is difficult. Publishing is, it's all right. It's quite straightforward when you have the steps. And the advertising, that's where it comes in, finding your people, finding your audience. And that's the most important thing.
So Becca, how does it work? You just submit a Word document with the book on it at Amazon, print it and assemble it?
Practically, yeah. See, there's layout to do, there's manuscripts, and they'll check things, obviously copyright things and AI. But it's nice and straightforward. You get to customize everything as it is. But like I said, they do take about 60% cut of your profits, which is quite a big cut. And one thing that I did in order to reach out to like my community on TikTok and Instagram, as well as also making that profit of what I've written for myself, was going through making my own website. So that's how I also promote my book. So it's beccapoetry.com. And I'm able to sell them and buy author copies from Amazon, which are vastly cheaper, and then sell them at the same price and get the same profit.
Oh, she's a businesswoman.
So then
We got to be a businesswoman. You got to bring it. Exactly. And how old are you?
I'm 20.
A lot of applause for that. And how many books have you written, Mr. Kibianpour? I hope on your to-do list tomorrow when you see write a book for Mr. Khan, you're not upset, sir. I didn't realize I didn't realize it was so accessible. That's amazing. Let's make that happen. I can see Mr. Khan book title pending. Okay, lovely. Thank you for that, Becca. And you give us your website. Give us your TikTok.
So it's Bartholomew Poetry on Instagram, TikTok, and the website. I also wanted just to say before, I haven't done it yet, but if there's any of you that do want the books and you don't get them because I know you can today, I'm going to do like a discount code, like 25% on my website. Just type in Future Leaders, just to make it easier. Anyone wanting a copy, it's more accessible and it's cheaper. Sorry, just so you know.
That's so sweet, Miss. Thank you so much. And Miss Shakur, can you send out Becca's TikTok on the WhatsApp for East? So trust me, follow Becca and the Insummits. It's such an inspirational message. Honestly, when I come across your channel, it's just, I always leave uplifted. Like, it's such positive messaging. So thank you for the work you're doing and please keep it up. Okay, Haneen, maths. How many other girls are in your maths course? Why do we need more girls in maths?
So I can't give you the exact number of girls in my course. I can give you the number of girls in one of my labs. It's like 4 other girls. It
Out of how many in the group?
like that-ish. So yeah, it's a bit of an awkward situation sometimes. I can't lie. Like first time when I came in, that's just such a funny story. So when I first come in, it was our first little class. Everyone was there, which is a bit of a shocker, you know, when you go into your classes. But I was there and I'm standing at one edge of the room, and there's just a swarm of boys. It's just I just can't do anything. I realize I'm quite short when I go to university because I see like half of them like 5'10" to like 6'3". It's not fun. I'm only 5'5", but so I'm kind of look over and I see 3 girls in the opposite corner to me. So now I have to maneuver through the entire crowd of boys just to get to them. And now we're really close, and it's so fun because now we're just complaining about everything in our labs, and it's so fun. And then we're doing better than half the boys in that class as well, so it's even more empowering. And it's just I get gassed if I lie to you. Love it.
Dude, I love that, man. You know, remember, our diversity is our superpower. The thing that makes you different is the thing you should lean into, right? So being a girl in maths will actually mean you have better job opportunities, right? Because people are looking to diversify their teams. So it's not a disadvantage, it's an advantage. Use it as your superpower. Own it. And make it work for you. Thank you, Nadim.
I actually want to add one little thing though. It is advantageously a female in a very male-dominated field, but I would say get any experience you can get, because I only got in because of my experience, particularly from deep leaders. So even if you're a female and of course I've got reference, even if you're a female in a STEM industry, you still need to have something to put you over the males, because at the end of the day, they could be looking at applications, not really at your gender. So make sure that any experience that comes your way, take it, even if it's not related to your course. Back then I did economics and I was doing banking, and I did the Barclays Advanced program. I had no need to be doing Barclays Advanced program. I wasn't going to go into maths. I wasn't going to go into anything related to that. But that's one of the main things that actually tipped me over into getting into a master's degree, where I thought I wasn't going to be able to, for my grades weren't that great, and I was mainly doing humanities subjects. To any experience I could do it, take it.
That's such a good point, because some of you are asked, did you apply for the engineering work experience? No. Why? Oh, I don't want to be an engineer. But it's not about being. First of all, you don't know what you want. You're going to change your mind 100 times perhaps between now and when you apply. Second of all, whatever you're applying for at uni, it would be so impressive to have in your personal statement or your degree apprenticeship application. I was selected for a highly competitive work experience program where I spent 6 months at a company. They don't care what you learned at the company. They want to know that you developed yourself while you were there. Hanina did a work experience program with us in Barclays through Future Leaders, and then talked about it on a personal statement, which helped her get her degree. Back then, she wanted to be a lawyer. So make sure you're putting yourselves forward for those opportunities. When I asked her, Shakur, how many people applied, she was like, 160. I said, 160 out of the 1,000 kids that are on the in-person progress? That's terrible. It should be so much more. So make sure you're putting yourself forward for opportunity. I mean, it was many places, so 160 is a lot. But again, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Sarah, what makes Oxbridge different and special?
Okay. So I'm going to preface this by saying that this is going to link, don't worry. But like a lot of people, when they're applying for like Cambridge or Oxford, they really do misunderstand the purpose of the interview section of the application, because Cambridge and Oxford are the only two universities in the country that interview for every single course. And when then some people get rejected and they think, well, I was predicted, like I was doing like I have 4 A stars. I got all 9s at GCSE. Like I have like 1,000,001 work experiences. But this person who got like, 988, 777, 665, and is predicted A star AA, got an offer and I didn't. Like, then why was that? And the reason for that is because the interview, what it's really looking for, is not just like, oh yeah, how many things can you tick off on like the list of qualifications, but like, how do you work in the teaching structure that it provides? Because it's very different to teaching at other universities. So to give you an example, so the teaching model at Oxford is very research based. So you get given a research question. So I get given one research question a week. And then I get given a list of 50 books, no paying numbers, no nothing. I have to go away and research and I have 1 week to research basically this question that I have never heard of in my life, or a topic that I've never heard of in my life. And I've got like 50 books, and about like, and I think in total about 500,000 pages to get through. And so you're like, what the hell? Like, how do I go about this? And it's up to you to sort of like whittle it down. It's like, which of those books do you need? Which of those pages are important? Which information is important? You have to distill it all down into a 2,500 word essay. And then you have to come to something called a supervision, which is 1 to 2 hours long. And it's literally, it's not a class. It's just you and the academic. And this academic has spent their entire life researching that one essay question that you got last week and you haven't heard about this topic in your life before. And they've read your essay and they're quizzing you on everything you've written. Like, why do I say this? Why do you say this? What do you think of this? And you have to just sit there and like just defend yourself for like a good 2 hours. And then they're like, great, like, have a nice day. You have to go home. You have to stay in your room and think about like everything that you said. But yeah, so that's the way that works. Like, that's the supervision model. The idea is that it's very personalized because you get to sort of direct your own learning, because the research questions that you get are quite broad, because then you could choose where to take it. Like, what direction do you want to take the questioning? If I give you an example of a question that I had last week, I think I mentioned this is a question on, so, what is the role of natural right in like the ideas of natural rights in 17th and 18th century revolutions in France and America? And I've never researched this before. So I had to go away and research the role of natural right in these revolutions that I haven't studied before. And I had to go to supervision with someone who has written 3 books on the French Revolution. 3. Not 1, not 2, 3. And then I had to, but I could take it in a direction. I could take it in sort of like a gender-related direction. I could take it in a class direction. I could take it in a high politics government direction. and it all depends on like my personal interests and what I've read. And so it's a very, very, very personalized load of learning. It's very one-to-one, and you have like you can't hide behind anyone because it's just you in that room. You have to be very like confident. You have to be very prepared. And you have to be able to think on your feet. And the interview is assessing that specifically, that ability. And it's assessing whether you're going to thrive in those conditions. And yeah, so like, this is a bit far ahead, but let's say that you apply for Oxbridge and you get rejected. It's not like a personal, like, slight. It's not them saying, oh, like, you're not intelligent enough. It's just them saying, well, we've seen you working in this environment and we just don't think that, like, this is, we think if you went to somewhere where this is not the teaching environment, you would have thrived more in, like, in that environment, like, more like a seminar, lecture kind of environment. And it's like, it's not like a personal thing at all because you could be like, extremely intelligent and like that's just not how you learn. It's just not how you thrive when you're learning. So that's how the Cambridge model works, and that's why interviews are so important.
Thank you, Sarah. And that's both the Oxford and Cambridge model, isn't it? I think it's the only universities in the world that teach 1-to-1. So your professor and you have 1-to-1 2-hour time, which is incredible because the professors are the meeting experts on whatever topic you're studying. So that is incredible, but be ready for that workload, right? So don't apply to Oxford because you think that's the best university in the world. There's loads of great universities in the world. In fact, this year, the London School of Economics was ranked as the best university in the UK overall, beating Oxford and Cambridge for the first time in the history of the rankings. I mean, it's new, but think about the type of learner you are if you want to go to uni and pick a uni based on that, not the name. Thank you, Sarah. That's really powerful, and good luck with those weekly essays. My goodness. And Sarah talked about going back to her room at night and blah blah blah. You're gonna see that room because one of the online sessions upcoming. It's called University versus Apprenticeship, and you hear Sarah and her story. And Sarah was kind enough to invite us to Cambridge, and we got to film her room and Cambridge. And then you're also going to hear from Jaina that I was mentioning earlier. She's not sat there. I don't know why I was pointing over there. Jaina, who's doing a degree apprentice and has now completed her degree. And they're both going to talk about what they're enjoying to help you decide which route might be best for you as well. Okay, so
except FYI, my second year room is a lot nicer than the room you're going to see.
Well, we'll just have to send Mr. Kirkpatrick again. Where is he? There we go. Excellent. He loved the trip to Cambridge. Okay, thank you very much.
I'm back.
Exactly. Miles, it made me so proud to hear that you want to work in the charity sector, in the community outlet sector. Give me 90 seconds on why that's important to you and why it should be important for all of us in this room to want to give back to our community.
Oh gosh, Mike, that is. I think especially because I come from a black mixed race background here in East London, and I think I've benefited so much from programs like the Future Leaders program. I work with Redbridge, Community Action Redbridge previously. What else have I done? I've done so many different things in Redbridge and just in East London. And I think it's important that we give back. Like being here today is our way of giving back to you to help other people get into these different fields and show that you can succeed even though you're from a disadvantaged background. And I think specifically for me, wanting to see in like the education space or just generally the social policy space, it's just me wanting to do that, create change on a larger scale. And I've been able to do that working with in local communities and with charities. But I want to have a larger impact. And I think it's important, again, just to pay back. Like we've all benefited in ways that maybe we're not talking about tonight, but we see every day. We might not think about, like because of being here. I put myself out that I was on the Sunak and Salma debate on ITV in June, and I would take it out to Manchester. I wouldn't have done that if I didn't come here. I've made connections with top civil servants. I've worked in the Department of Transport. I'm currently working with a top civil servant in the Department of Education. And so these are just things that are here, and I want to pay that back. And I think being here is such a privilege, so I want to get to do this. And I think especially for Sakefield students, it's important that we have a community where we can work together. A lot of these independent schools, they have alumni and they have people paying into their schools and their systems, and they have those connections. But I think we need to ride with that. We need to have these connections and create a network for it. And I think it's especially important that we show it here today.
Yeah, and I think you don't realize that until you go to university and you're sat next to people who went to independent schools, right? So when Miles says disadvantaged, he doesn't mean that we're poor. What he means is there's so much privilege out there that we don't even realize, because actually we're at state school, we're surrounded by other people that are roughly where we are in life. But when you go to university, when you go in the real world and you realize, what was your high school like? Who was your teacher? They had a PhD. What? Oxford and Cambridge came to your school every week and helped you prepare for interview. What? That's what Miles means when he says we are disadvantaged because we don't go to those private schools and we don't have access to that level of support. And that's not right. Last week when we had our first session, I showed you the stats. 70% of judges in this country went to private school. It should be 7%. That's what percent of people in this country go to private school, 7%. So 7% of judges should be from private school. 60% of top doctors have gone to private school. And that is true across all professions, journalists, authors, everything. Why? Why they get a bigger slice of the pie? Because they support each other and they lift each other up. But there's 93% of us. We should be lifting each other up. And that's what we're doing for you. And that's what you need to do for others. And that's exactly what these people on stage are doing tonight.
Just quickly, because I did my dissertation on Black students and access into elite higher education institutions in England. And it specifically, data shows that if you went to independent school, you're most likely to go to Oxford or Rush Group universities. And so it's obviously that divide. And it's about ensuring that we have equity over equality, and that, for example, state school students and students from ethnic minority backgrounds and different and just diverse backgrounds should have those opportunities, not because of where they come from, but their ability. Because just because you went to a state school doesn't mean that you don't deserve to go to Oxford. It doesn't mean you don't deserve to be in that work environment, whether that's in Amazon or KPMG or wherever it is. And so I think it's important that we focus on that and that we use our state school backgrounds to empower us to do that, because no one else is going to do it for you. You have to be in that network. You have to create that yourself. And I think it's important that what Mr. Khan is doing here for you, and really taking note of that and using that to create your LinkedIn bio and your LinkedIn and just different things. And I think, being here, what pushed me, but I think all of us in different ways to do that. And this is like the start of your journey. And I think you've got a really, really good head start.
Thank you, Miles. That's a powerful words. Thank you. And they just had a session on LinkedIn. And I've been seeing all the amazing posts that you've been doing on LinkedIn. So well done. Keep it up. It builds your brand. Like Sania said, it's not only what you know. Sometimes it's not at all what you know. It's about who you know. So start building that network. All right. Okay. Yusuf, so are more than 70% of your fellow classmates in medical school privately educated?
I'm happy you asked that, because that's something I wanted to talk about. There are a lot of private school kids that study medicine. And I remember when I was in your position and Mr. Khan kept saying, you guys are disadvantaged, you guys are disadvantaged. And I was thinking, what's he talking about? I'm getting education for free. I can apply for medicine for free. I can sit my A-levels for free. But once you start university, you realize the gap that there actually is. Some of the guys are telling me that they had personalized UCAT tutors. My teacher didn't know what UCAT was. They had personalized tutors for each medical school that they applied to. They had people coming in every week to help with their application. No one from school actually helped them, right? So it's so good that you guys are on this program, because that can sort of act as that bridge for you, for your application. I remember personally, for my future leaders program, it was a doctor, Dr. Max Pemberton. I got in contact with him and I kept pestering him with questions, and he helped me out so much. He's a good friend of Mr. Khan. He helped me out with the interviews that the private school kids were getting. He helped me out with reading my personal statement. He helped me out with advice for my application. So it's important that you use this as your sort of battle against the private school kids, to have that one up for your application, to help you support your application. It's so important.
And Yusuf, I think, Max is so proud of you, as am I. We still talk about you, but I love the hustle, right? So, Max, who, as Yusuf said, is a good friend of mine, Dr. Pemberton, he's also a journalist. He writes for the Times, lots of books. He wrote the book, Help Me, I'm a Junior Doctor. So if you're interested in medicine, definitely check it out. Came and spoke on this stage, about his journey, and Yusuf was in the room, followed up, emailed, LinkedIn, then moved to WhatsApp, stayed on top of him, stayed on top of Max is one of the busiest people I know in the world. He does so much, but actually Yusuf stayed on top of it, hustled, and got that support. And I think they did some mock interviews and did support. And Max is very well connected in that sector, was even reaching out to people he knew. This is the network. right? This is the network. But Yusuf built that by himself. I brought that person to the stage. There was through 250 kids in the room. Yusuf is the one that hustled and built a relationship with that speaker. And that's such good advice, because we're going to have lots of amazing people. We've got the Deputy Mayor of London coming, who's going to be sat on the stage. We've got the Deputy Leader for the London Borough of Redbridge coming. We've got amazing people who are going to come. We're going to do a careers fair with people from lots of different sectors. Which one of you are going to build a link? Which one of you are going to build the link with these amazing people? When we sent that out, how many of you sent out LinkedIn requests to this amazing panel and said, I'm so excited about you speaking at Future Leaders. I'd love to connect. How many are you going to do it after the talk? It was so inspiring to hear you speak. Thank you for your time tonight. How many of you are going to take this opportunity to build your network with these superstars? Because that's the difference between success and failure. Sania, tell us about the apprenticeship process. There'll be young people in this room. Raise your hand if you're possibly considering a degree apprenticeship. Raise your other hand, or raise your hand if you have a confident, clear understanding of the process. You see? We need you, Sania. We need you.
So, I actually got really lucky, and I saw the advert for the L'Oreal apprenticeship in February while I was in year 13. So that was way past the normal time frame of you applying. So L'Oreal was a bit different. Initially, what it is you apply. They ask you very standard questions like, where do you see yourself in the next 3 years? Tell me about a time you had to make a really hard decision and how did you overcome it? Questions like that. You submit that in. If you match the company's vision, what their beliefs are, what their values are, and what the company stands for, you get the green light. You move on to the next step. For majority of the companies I applied for, the next step is your psychoanalysis test. So I remember L'Oreal it was like a game, like I was playing a game. So it was like, what number was this? And you quickly have to type it in. Or like, what shape is this? And like, how would it look reversed? Like little questions like that. Then they test my maths, so simple addition. And the next step, if you pass that and if you like reach their standard, is a video interview. So I had someone, never met them, didn't know what the interview was like. I just had to come prepared. And they would ask me questions like, tell me about a time you had to make a really big decision and you were like the minority. And I kid you not, I rinsed my time at Future Leaders. I did this. I rinsed that. I rinsed it so much. I use Future Leaders as an example for every single thing. Then I got pulled in for the assessment day, which was at L'Oreal headquarters. There were 200 of us, and there were only 14 positions. So we were like sectioned out into groups of 20, and it was really intimidating because some of these people are older than you, and some of them, like I remember there were 5 of us who were still doing our A-levels at the time. So it was rough because I remember when I went to L'Oreal, I had my biology paper 2 the next day, but I was submitted because I had to like go and do this just in case I did get in. You go through the assessment centers and you do a presentation and then you have like a one-on-one interview. The person I had my interview with was my manager currently. After that, I got pulled in for another interview, but this time I was on holiday, so it was over the phone. And they did like the same drilling. Interviews are tough, I won't lie. Like they will ask you questions and you won't have the answers. You have to like think really quick. I remember they asked me, where do you see yourself in 3 years? I'm like, bro, I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow. Like, what do you want me to say? And I would have to really like come up with an answer, but it would have to match their values. So definitely do your research. Whatever company you're applying for, do your research. Like, even if you don't align with whatever the company's values are, think and just see if you can feel a connection there and get someone from your school or anyone like any of us or anything to like do interviews with you, mock interviews. I was really lucky and I got Dana, the apprentice at Leonardo who was here. I connected with her on LinkedIn and I was like, can you please give me some guidance? She's like, I've got you. And we booked in an hour Zoom call and she helped me so much. She did mock interviews with me. She asked me questions and she'd be like, you have 20 seconds to answer this right now. And then I would give her an answer and she'd be like, let's work on this, let's work on that. She helped me so much. She mentored me so much. I was really lucky. My head of year in the sixth form, he was so supportive and he would book out like he would let me miss lessons just to take mock interviews with him. So that was really, really helpful. Honestly, ask anyone, even if it's your parents, ask them to just ask you standard interview questions because everyone in their life will go for interviews. Whether it's uni or even a part-time job, you will go for an interview. And it's so important that you know these skills. So I think that's quite generic for the application process. I know that another company like JP, I had a friend that got into it and I think they did a day where you go in and you basically shadow an employee and you get asked questions on how you would react to this situation. But I think that's very rare. So I don't think most companies will ask you to do. In case they do, just be prepared that you might have to do something like that.
Thank you, Sania. That's so insightful. And I think the JP Morgan thing is quite rare. But the other thing that you've explained, so you apply, you have a psychometric test, which sounds scary, but actually it's just, what is this number? What is this shape? You've done these kind of tests before, kind of like reminiscent of what's the test you do in year 6, year 5? SATs. And then in year 7, it's CATs, etc. It's kind of that kind of test. And then assessment center where they give you more about the company and then interview and then offer. And if for those of you on that journey, if you get shortlisted, do reach out to us. We've got resources to help you on that process. And also, so Jaina was your mentor, was she? So as you know, we just launched our mentorship program where we've got young people who've been through the program or others in our community who want to help you on your journey. And nothing makes me prouder when future leaders help future leaders, right? So Jaina is a couple years ahead of you. She's one of our mentors. You applied to have a mentor, and then we paired you guys together because you wanted to do an apprenticeship and how useful she was on your journey. So if you haven't already applied to have a mentor, do apply for that. It's a great opportunity to hear from a near peer, but work with them on a longer term basis. All right. Okay. I think what we're going to do, just conscious of time, is we're going to stop for questions. What are we going to do? Okay, let's do this. We're going to pause for a second. We're going to move to the second and final performance from Becca. I'm conscious of how long you've been sitting, so I'm going to ask you all to stand for this performance. Let's get that blood flowing. To stand up. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Back. Guy, is this the best way to stand for the slice? Okay. And honey, money hump down on this side. Okay, both the girls, circle it out. Even the Takabian poor is yawning. Okay, I don't think we understood the finger snapping thing, so let's explain it again. If Becca says something you resonate with, you snap your fingers. So practice snapping both your fingers.
You're a becoming poet. It's crazy.
Yeah, I could be hearing that a lot. Okay. So, get the blood flowing. Excellent. So, Becca, super directly into the mic. Your second performance, please, just for our lovely future leaders. Alumni, you can have a seat if you like. Thank you. You did the program. You don't have to listen to Miss Khan anymore. All right, Becca, when you're ready.
Okay, so this one, it very much follows on for everything that we've just spoken about. So I'd like to take a second, just before I read it, to think about the thing that you want, the vision that you see, or perhaps you don't have an exact vision where you know you sort of do want to be. Oh, thank you. Sorry, I'm here. Okay, so imagine that, and I want you to think about where you're going to be or where you'd like to be when I read this topic. Say, that thing that you've always wanted to do it. That burning desire to rise beyond the fire and feel the warmth of something worth pursuing. Do not stop doing it until you can say you have tried. And I don't mean the half lie of, oh, I gave it a go. I mean, I've something to show and something to see. Something to point at and say, hey, that was me. Something worth showing. And if you keep on going, you can be that person that you've always wanted to be. The one that you've seen in your dreams, the one that seems almost too good to be true. That person will be you if you just begin. That person you've always wanted to be, let them in. Let them in. Thank you.
Come on! Bartholomew! Bartholomew. Wow. What a powerful, powerful message, Becca. And what a great place to end. You can be the person you want to be. You just believe. And also forgive yourself. I love that. I love that. Becca Lloyd, thank you. We've sent out Becca's socials on the WhatsApp. Follow her. Keep getting this positive messaging in your life. It helps me. It will help you. And it will help you get to where you want to go. Okay? Okay, have a seat. Okay. And we've got some books. Mr. Katie and Poor. Okay, shall I take the books? Okay, who's got a question? Who wants the book? Who's got a question? Who wants the book? Mr. Khan? Yes. I'll read the 5 at a time. Thanks, sir. Okay, let's sing. Okay, nice and high so I can see your hands. Nice and high to go load the questions. Mr. KB and Poor is going to do the selecting. And he's going to take the mic. We're going to introduce yourselves, your name, your school. If the question is for a specific person, remember we've got Hani, Becca, Sarah, Miles, Yusuf, and Sania. Their names are up there as well. I know it's quite small, you can't see it. Or you can just ask the general question and I'll direct it. Okay? Colleagues, you have 45 seconds for answer. All right, speed round. I've already eaten hugely into Ms. Shakur's time. I can feel the cut eye. I can feel the diver eye from there. We're going to take 10 questions. We're going to hand out 10 books. So let's go.
My name's Farhan, and I'm from Woodbridge, and Miss Sarah. What kind of advice are people applying for, like history or politics, for Cambridge and Oxford? So.
41 seconds. I'm so sorry, I'm hard of hearing. Could you repeat the question?
Of course, yes. The question was, what tips would you have for somebody applying to Oxford for history or the politics?
Okay. So my top tip for you, actually you want to apply to something related to that, is I would say read. You want to, so the thing is, everyone just says like wider reading, but no one really told you how to do it. So like my top tip is like, look at something you're interested in your course. So to me, I was doing, like Birth of America, so the United States Revolution in my A-level history. And I started to think like, I read a book that was related to my course. So it was just like, oh yeah, it's something on about America. And it sort of made references in French Revolution. And I was like, and then I sort of read a book on that. And I started to draw links to it. I was like, oh, these two revolutions were related. I read books, then I read a book on the history of political thought, and how political thought developed parallel in Europe and the United States. And so then I can create a personal statement. And then let's sort of focus it more on political thought, and sort of do political thought, like modern political thought, ancient political thought, how ideas of democracy developed in a sort of Asian world, in Rome and Greece. And do you see how I'm like drawing links here, right? It's not like you need to read the books for the sake of reading books. Like, oh yeah, someone told you this book is interesting, you read it. You read books on things that interest you, because then when you talk about them, people can tell you you're passionate about it. And what you want to show at that interview is want to show that passion. Because there was a book that someone recommended to me to read when I was applying, that was something like, oh yeah, like it's this book on like Tudor England. It's like really good. It's amazing if you want to do like the history at Cambridge. I don't care about Tudor England. I read 20 pages. I was like, halas, I put it in the bin. The book is in the bin right now. With anger, I took it out afterwards. I took it to a shard shop. But like angry, I put it in the bin. I was like, I'm not reading this. I'm not reading this. So read books you're passionate about is what.
So read. That's the advice. Next question. And sir, Mr. Griffin, to get third mic. Other guy now. What me hat. Okay. It doesn't bring speed, but not for the mic case. Okay. Let's just.
Okay. Hi, my name is Gudrun Shaw. This is Rebecca. I study biochem maths, but I have a passion for English literature. I love it so much. There's nothing I love more in this world than books. How far do you think it's possible to publish a book without taking a degree and having it off to your passion?
Oh my gosh, you can definitely do it. That the first thing I can possibly say is it doesn't matter what you study. Studying it is great. I love it. It pumps me further. But the fact that you have a passion, a bit like what Sarah was saying, that means you can 1000% do it. I'm more than happy to give you the guides that I use, the things that I know. But it is so possible. If you have that drive and you have that ambition, I'm a firm believer in manifestation, and I manifested this and I worked for it, and the two together are an equation to success. So the fact that you've even asked, it means you're halfway there.
Excellent answer. Excellent question. Well, the next question.
Hi, my name's Fanny.
So, guys, move the mic. Guys, you'll have to speak mic right to the desk. But hustlers, because to the desk.
My name's Fanny. I go to Robert Clark School. And my question for Becca. And my question was, do you find it easier to write when you're inspired by positive or negative emotion?
That is a good question. I feel like we have such good chats. To be honest, it's less about the positive or the negative. It's more about how intense that emotion is. I think negative, often we take things to heart a lot of the time, so that can seem quite easy. But the reason why I speak a lot about empowerment and women empowerment and a lot about feminism is because I saw when I performed it a few years ago, and Sarah can probably back me up because she was there, how many women came up to me afterwards. And that was very positive. And that's one of the biggest driving factors I've ever had to write. And that inside a whole chapter in this book. So I love the question. I think it just depends on the intensity of the emotions. If you're writing, harness everything you feel. It's great material.
That's a good question. Let's start with response. So the next question should be John, Rebecca, or Sarah, one of the other panelists. Who's got a question from one of the panelists? Okay, we're quick.
You said someone says a big expo. Oh, sorry. My name is Fiza and I go Woodford. Someone said that they did the BMAT. Can they please explain the process and how they did that?
A bit of a short answer, but there's no more BMAT, so you don't need to worry about it. There's a UCAT, which I mentioned before, and make sure you go on YouTube and watch lots of videos about the sections. It's your most important thing, part of the application.
So no more BCAT, you have to do UCAT. I'll go to YouTube. Top tip, go to YouTube. Practice tests, have a practice test anymore?
Yeah, so on the official website, there will be practice tests. So again, YouTube will have much more information than I'll be able to tell you. So go on YouTube and search about UCAT. There's plenty of resources on there.
And do you think it's worth me having a private tutor, or you think this if your parents are selling you to it? Is it worth the money?
The only thing I'd recommend is Hain for Medify. That's a resource that basically everyone uses. It doesn't cost too much. That's the main resource I'd recommend. It's called Medify, and they give you lots of questions and time tests. The UCAT official website also gives you time tests, and they're free as well.
Medify. If you're aspiring in medicine, bioscience, etc., Medify. Check out the website. Okay, who has a question for someone who's not been asked the question? So we've got Hani, we've got Miles, we've got Sania. Both the hands up. We got the mic. Yes.
I'm Saskia and I got to pronounce it. This is just about interviews in general. Do they ask more about your subject knowledge and how much you know about something? Is this a test? Or do they ask about you and your life experiences and things like that?
Okay, good question, Miles. So how did you take that? And let's do it about kind of job interviews as opposed to uni or show.
Yeah, job interviews, it's a range of things. It's more about what you can put it from to work experience. It could literally be nothing related to the what you're doing. So for example, I've worked in retail. I've used that in different interviews. Normally they'll ask you to use SAR or CAR, so situation, task, action, response. And if working out what works for that. So talk about maybe volunteering you've done or any work experience you've done, being quite specific in that. But they can also ask you strength questions, what do you feel like you're strong at? It could be literally anything. I'm strong at communication, strong at listening. I have motivation, but also it asks what your weakness is. And I think it's important to mention your weakness, but then how you've been working to improve that, because then it showed that you're a person that's constantly changing, constantly wanting to work on that. So literally it can be anything. It could be the experience. You could put it from like academia, so what you've been doing at school, maybe a project you've been working on, essay you've been working on. But yeah, I think it's just you've got to have those examples. For example, what one you can pull on is some of the programs that the future leaders often. So yeah, it's very, very wide and broad. But I think the best thing to do is practice, as the panel members have said, but also have those examples and start building them up now, so you have them in the bank for later.
Thank you. Next question. So we've got Sania and Hani next. Is about question for Sania or Hani? Okay, so that's hand up. What's your mic?
Hi, my name is Abdurraf and I go Bill and I study applied science and DT. And my question would be Yusuf, and I was interested in what challenges you've had recently studying medicine.
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
I'm interested what challenges you've had studying medicine.
What's the hardest part that you have?
There's so many challenges. I'd say the one single one is adapting to that new environment. If you are lucky enough to get into medicine, you are often the top of your class at sixth form and sort of you are progressing well. Once you enter the environment of 300 other medical students, so all top of their class, it can be quite challenging to navigate. I think it can be quite difficult to talk to people and finding out sort of who can help you. So I'd say definitely one of the most challenging things is navigating that new environment.
Good answer. Sure, it's me. I love it. Okay. Ali or Isaiah?
Anyone is any. My name is Mariam. I go Grateful, and my question is, how much did influence from your peers help you decide your paths?
Oh, good question. That's the start. Hani, do you take this one? Where's the mic? How much influence from your peers helped you decide your path?
So before I decided to do maths, I was going to do law, and there was a lot of like, everyone kept telling me, oh, I should do debating. And then I got into economics because I was like, oh, you're really good with like the climate actors. And then I went into artificials, we'll ignore that one. And then I went into maths, and it wasn't so much as my peers, because a lot of people didn't think that I could do it. Because they saw me as someone who just debated a lot, but it was more of my sport group, like my teachers, my head of year, and one teacher who wasn't my teacher, but she was just part of our gang for some reason. And it was all of them saying like, if you really want to do this and you have the grades to do this and you're on top of your class, then you can do it. I'm not gonna lie though, as Arab, a lot of the aunties are like, why would you go into that? That's not something that you should be doing. Like maths is more for the boys. I was like, well, that's what I'm into and whatnot. And I would shut them up when I got in. But it's just more of your environment and your peers will help you a lot. And if they're able to implement it, you're one of the lucky few, especially in a degree than one. But if you don't find people who will, so my entire friend group, we all do some subjects. One's doing engineering, one's doing radiology. So just find the environment if you don't have it, and you guys will just help lift each other up.
Thank you. Amazing answer. Okay. One more question. Two other question for Sania. Right here. Yo, Tiri. I love the hand. Make the confidence guess. You don't even need a mic. Let's go. What's your name? What's your name? Okay. And what school you at? Okay. Question. Nice and loud.
She says she goes uni once a week, and on Fridays, does the company for you what courses to learn? But
Lovely. Hey, can you repeat the question for the podcast into the mic? So the question is?
I think he said.
So the question is, when you're doing a degree apprenticeship, does your employer, your company you work for, tell you what degree you have to do, or do you get to pick your degree?
No, you don't get to pick. It's whatever they give you. So it just depends on what apprenticeship you're doing. I'm in HR, so it's basically management. So I'm doing a business management course. So at the end of it, I will be a chartered manager. But say you're doing an apprenticeship for dental. At the end, at university, you will be kind of like in more of like the medicine field. You will be doing like dentistry and things like that. It just depends on whatever you're doing.